focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks. So welcome to another episode of Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo. I am your host. We are in beautiful Southern California, and it is episode number 16. We're on episode 16, and today we truly have a super guest. I've been looking forward to this for several months now. So excited to have our guest today. His name is Evan Carmichael. At 19, he built and sold a biotech software company, 22 venture capitalists helping to raise lots and lots of money. He now runs evancarmichael.com, a popular website for entrepreneurs. He lives and breathes entrepreneurship. From Toronto, Canada is his home. He's a mega YouTuber. Y'all know who he is. And he's got 1.6 million YouTube subscribers on his channel. One of the biggest influencers in America today. He does all the 10 videos on YouTube. He shares the top 10 ideas from some of the most famous people in the world. He understands massive passive income. That's what we're going to talk about today. Everything under the sun. So Evan, how do we get a video viral, man? How do we do that?
First off, Daniel, thank you, man. Appreciate the love, the energy. I love it. Episode 16. 16 is my new favorite number. This is awesome. So at the core, I mean, I don't have the exact recipe to make a viral video every time. If I did that, it'd be way more than 1.6 million. At the core, though, is you have to have a message that means something. So whatever it is for people who are watching, if you guys are thought leaders, if you're experts, you have an opinion, it means something. It has to mean something. And then you need to deliver it with emotional commitment. And so I think a lot of times when people are first making videos, they have a message, they have something they want to share, but as soon as they get in front of the camera, that boldness, that confidence goes away, and you're so worried about saying the exact right words, and then the message falls short because there's no emotional commitment. You need to feel the words. Like, the words that you're saying have to be important. And so I think of Eminem and Lose Yourself, the Lose Yourself song, Eminem, classic. You go to YouTube and you type in Lose Yourself cover. There's a whole bunch of people who've done a YouTube cover of Eminem's Lose Yourself, but none of them ever come even close to what Eminem did. They're saying the exact same words with the exact same soundtrack, but they don't have the emotional intensity behind it like Eminem did, spitting into the microphone. And so you don't like the song as much. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They make a video, they have a message, but because they don't bring emotional commitment to the message, then the video doesn't take off.
They never quite get there. They just haven't gone. I think that happens with anybody in business, Evan. I mean, they don't go all in. I think when you go all in, when you put it all on the line, that separates you from the masses. So tell us about your story, Evan. I mean, tell us about, where'd you grow up and what did your parents do for a living?
So I grew up in Toronto, Canada. I've traveled the world, but Toronto is still my home. I'm filming this from my studio in Toronto. My parents, for the people watching the video, are actually on my wall behind me. I know it's a podcast, but for the people listening, I've got a picture on my wall where I'm about 9 years old. My parents are kind of standing next to me, and that's our daily reminder. My one word is believe, and that comes from them. They always taught me I was Evan Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe in, and that was always a daily reminder. And anytime I didn't do well, anytime I didn't do well at school, anytime some failure happened, they'd always remind me that I was Evan Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe in. And that message still kind of carries through. And they didn't teach me a lot about business. They weren't really entrepreneurs. My father worked for the government and management consulting afterwards. And my mother was a lawyer and politician and did a lot of work to try to make the community better, which is where I pull that side from. She'd always tell me, if you have the ability, then you have the responsibility. If you can, then you must. And you should be doing something that serves others. And so I've taken kind of different pieces from both my parents and put that into the work that I do on a daily.
Yeah, I had both dad. I had two dads, so I had my real dad and my stepdad, and I pulled every good out of each one of them. You know, we all got good and we all got bad, and I took the best of everything and I made it my own. So I think that's incredible that you pulled from your parents and you took the best. And so when did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? I mean, that you wanted to be in business?
I had a bunch of tendencies growing up. I think I did lemonade stands and baseball card trade shows, and every weekend I'd have to take my parents and they'd drive me out to this giant baseball card show that was about 2.5 hours out of town, and I'd be negotiating as a what 12-year-old 13-year-old with people who were 40, 50 years old over 5 cents, 10 cents, over like, hey, okay, I'll give you this quarter, but it's got gum on the back. Great, I'll take that quarter. I'll scrape out the gum. So I had a lot of those tendencies growing up, but I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think one, because nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. So there was nobody to look up to and say, hey, I'm going to do it like Uncle Joe did it. And also at the time, entrepreneurship wasn't as hot as it is now. It wasn't an option. It wasn't discussed. So I'm what year is it? I'm 38 right now. So growing up, it wasn't part of the lexicon. It wasn't a career option. And so I thought I wanted to be a banker. In my high school yearbook, where it asked you, like, where are you going to be in 10 years? I said VP at a bank. And then I went to university and connected with two people who had started a business, and they asked me to join as an owner. And I had to face the toughest decision of my life, whether I'd go take this banking job, we're going to make 6 figures and travel around the world and like my dream job, or go to this startup company, make $300 a month and have equity. And hopefully that turns into something. And I just didn't want to live with regret. And so I said, you know what? I can always go get another job. Maybe not the same job, maybe not that awesome company, but another banking-ish job. I didn't know if I'd ever get this startup opportunity again. And so I went a super hard road, but I went down that path and haven't looked back since.
So did you have an original mentor? Like, who was your first business mentor?
As life mentors, my parents influenced me all the way through. Business mentor, I've learned mostly, to be honest, from others from afar. I call them aspirational mentors. So when I started my business, the first one was a software company, biotech software. I didn't know anything about biotech software. Science was my worst subject. I didn't know how to code for anything, and I sucked. We struggled. We're making nothing. I felt defeated and embarrassed as a human being. I felt like a loser. And I told my business partner that I quit. It was the worst day of my life. I told him that I quit just because I had zero self-worth, and this business was sucking everything out of me. And then later that night, I just realized, you know what? I can't quit on this yet. I haven't given everything I've got. But hitting that rock bottom, I realized I'm not the first guy to try to sell software before. Like, somebody's figured this out. Instead of trying to figure it all out myself, somebody has figured this out. So how about I go learn from them? And I looked at Bill Gates, and Bill Gates saved my company. Wow. I've never met Bill Gates, but I looked at, how did Microsoft start? Like, not how he makes an extra $1 million now, right? 0 to 1. Like, how did that happen? And then how can I apply that to my business? And through him, it was partnerships. Microsoft grew through partnerships. Their big deal came with IBM, when every IBM computer had Microsoft software on it. That's what broke the company open. But Microsoft was already a $7 million company when that deal happened. So I had to get the first 7. Same thing, partnerships. So I tried partnering. I got nothing else to lose. I hate everything. So let's just try it. And within a couple of weeks, I had my first deal for $13,500. And, that doesn't seem like a ton of money, I guess, now. But to me, that was it, man. That was bank. Like, I'm making $300 a month. $13,500. It was money.
That was life changing. That was a life changing moment for you.
And not just like money. Like, I actually could afford a meal instead of just French fries at McDonald's. I could eat a full meal. But just confidence. Like, holy cow! Like, something that I tried actually worked.
That's it.
Never. And so that got me on the path of, okay, I don't need to have it all figured out. I could just go learn from somebody who's done it. Right. So, like, for your listeners, like, they're learning from you. Like, all of Daniel's experiences, you can now learn from his mistakes and his successes and shortcut your path. And so that's now become my default, and why I do so much on my YouTube channel.
Right.
From different successful entrepreneurs, it's I selfishly use it for myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm learning from people. It's for me, and then I share it. And I'm grateful that Daniel and everybody else, enjoys watching the content, because I can build a business around it. But even if nobody liked it, I'd still be making the videos for myself.
Right.
They may not be as polished and edited and all that fancy, but I'd still use it because I need it for myself. And so I don't know that I've had like a really strong personal business mentor one-on-one, but I've leveraged the aspirational side, finding aspirational mentors to teach me, even though I've never met these people in real life.
I know that you have followed Anthony Robbins for a long time, and you, I think, have a relationship with him, or you've met him a few times. And I know that, see, that was for me. He was from afar for me. So when I first got into business, I probably the best thing that I've ever learned from Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins or whatever, is that you got to model after people that have already done it.
Yeah.
And so I came into business at 21, Evan, and I knew nothing about nothing. And I hooked my little red wagon up to some really successful people. And those people taught me exactly word for word what I needed to do. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel. I think people make such a mistake where they're trying to reinvent. Now, again, I'm not saying not to be creative and try new things and all that, but I'm saying that there are certain components to different types of businesses that you could learn from, that you can get to that 0 to 7 million, or that 0 to 1, whatever it is. And so I just think what you're saying makes such a lot of sense. When you first started out, well, I'll tell you my story. I mean, when I first started out, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I was scared. I never sold anything in my life. I mean, of course, I went into sales and communication and leadership and all. I never did any of that stuff.
Right.
I had a lot of limiting beliefs, and they were that I was young, that I had no experience, that I was short, a short Mexican kid from a not so good neighborhood. So I had a lot of things. So from your end of that, what limiting beliefs did you have to conquer growing up or starting out in business?
So I think the limiting beliefs that you start with don't actually go away ever. They just allow you to tackle bigger problems. And so, my one word is believe. People say, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self? It'd be, I need to believe more in myself. I need to believe more in my projects. I need to believe that it'll work out. But the real brain twist is, what would 85-year-old Evan come and tell 38-year-old Evan? The same thing. I got to believe more. Like, it doesn't go away. Your limiting beliefs are still the same limiting beliefs. The thing that you fear most is still the thing that you fear most. You just are able to handle bigger and bigger and bigger projects. You can tackle bigger demons and bigger monsters, but it's still the same thing forever.
So what were some of the things that you feel were limiting you in the beginning for you?
It's just self-belief. So in my first company, I'm 19 years old. I'm trying to sell to people who are 3 times my age, who had multiple PhDs, and I sucked at science, and I'm selling scientific software. I thought, these guys are never going to want to talk to me. They're not going to talk to some kid who doesn't even understand, what this stuff does. And that prevented me from getting on phone calls. I thought people would think my voice was too young and they wouldn't talk to me. I was afraid to go and do speeches. I was afraid to go meet clients. And then I realized by just doing it that, all they actually care about is, does my product help them in their research? Does it help them in their research? And a lot of the people that I was talking to were still just the business people. And then we still had our tech guys talk to each other. I didn't need to understand all the tech, just the story that I threw up in front of myself, right? I'm too young. I don't have PhDs. I'm talking to these people who are old and they know what they're doing. They're not going to take me seriously.
And so when you started getting on camera, I know you obviously you got onto YouTube, and now you speak a lot on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Was that hard for you in the beginning? I mean, was that difficult?
Yeah. And it's why I still show my videos. Like, the content was good. The points were good, but I was super nervous. I was wearing a suit. I was so worried about getting the exact words down that I tried to memorize the script, and it came off as super fake. I would do a lot of videos where I would narrate. So I'd only be on camera for a little bit and then I would narrate because I want the perfect script, and I'd show like B-roll on top of it. And I love keeping those videos up because it shows the journey. I think I'm actually a really slow learner and not very good at what I do. And I just grinded my way through it. I've done 6,000 videos on my channel.
Right.
1,000 of them aren't even public. Like you get good through repetition, and you better get good at it if you've done something 6,000 times. And I think we talked about the agency that I'm with, or we're both with. And at the beginning, I was working with Steve, who's one of the principals, and he wanted me to do a foundation story. He's like, Evan, we need your foundation story. And it's like a 20-minute video. Okay, great. And at the beginning, he didn't want to let me into the agency because I was such a bad communicator. He's like, I love your message. Most of the people who come to us don't have a great message. I love your message, but you suck in front of the camera. Like, thank you, Steve. Appreciate that, man. I've already done like 500 videos or something at this point. Like, okay, thanks. I feel the love. But I want to work. I'm going to take a flyer on you. Okay, great. So I did. He said, first video, you got to make your foundation story. So I recorded it in the morning, 20-minute video. Great. Sent it to him. He gave me feedback. I did it again at lunch. He gave me feedback. I did it again in the evening. And I would do that. And I recorded that one video like 40 times, 3 times a day. And I quickly became the best practice at the agency, where then they were saying, look at what Evan's doing, from being the worst, not because I was great, just because I was putting in the work. Where most people who are at the agency who were being told what to do had a hard time finding time to make one video a week. I took it seriously and was doing the same video 3 times a day until I got it. And so where I sucked in original talent and being born with a gift, and while still being a really slow learner, I pushed my way through and I got better. 4.5 years ago, I had 7,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. 7,000. And now we're at 1.6 million because I did 3 videos every day for 4.5 years.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
So I'm not that talented. It's just grinding it up and getting better.
I think, Evan, honestly, all I kept thinking about right now was me when I played baseball. And I was the smallest kid. I wasn't the most talented. I wasn't the best, but man, I was a grinder. Right. Man, I hustled. I hustled in, I hustled out. I was the one always standing up at the, when somebody was up to bat, cheering my team on. I was the loudest voice on the field. Everybody knew I was the biggest team player. And for that reason, and of course, I was a decent baseball player. But for that reason, I never sat the bench, not one inning in all my years playing baseball. And that's the difference. See, what you just explained is what I'm trying to talk to all of we have 1,500 licensed agents that work in our organization. I have 43 locations today. And I'm always constantly telling them, look, guys, you got to practice. You got to master your craft. Once you master it, words are words. Once you figure out the words, especially in sales, once you figure out the words and you get it and you understand your product with confidence and energy, nothing can stop you, because you never forget that stuff. It's like riding a bike. You get up, you do it once, you can do it 1,000 times. So now the things that you do that people say, Evan, you're amazing at, they're not understanding that you went through thousands and thousands of times of trials and errors and mistakes and getting better every single day. So you are a complete inspiration to so many people. I just want to remind everybody, this is Wealth on the Beach, the Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo. Our mega YouTube star and social media star, Evan Carmichael, is on with us today. So Evan, tell me, how do you make money in your space, in YouTube, Instagram? How do people make money? A lot of us don't understand how that works actually.
So at the beginning, I didn't think I was going to make any money. If I'm being honest, I didn't have aspirations to be a big YouTuber. I never thought I'd make money speaking, because I target entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs don't have a lot of money. Right. Most entrepreneurs. And so they're never going to hire me to speak. So who's going to hire people to speak? Well, it's going to be corporations, but they're going to hire me to come and say, go be an entrepreneur. Like, it's a weird message. So no corporation is going to hire me either. I didn't think it'd ever make money. It was something that filled my soul. The way that you make money doing it is, I basically kick up a bunch of noise in my industry. I get known as the person for, if you're in the entrepreneur world, you know my content. If you're not, you probably don't. And then I monetize that attention. So how to do it? You start with basics of advertising. So you have your podcast, you sell advertising before it. If you're making YouTube videos, YouTube does the work of finding advertisers for you. Instagram, you could sell shout outs or brand deals. You can then get paid to go and speak. If you're great at the thing that you do, you get recognized as an expert, you can speak for multiple different organizations that I wasn't even thinking about when I first got into it. You can come up with your own products. I've got 2 books. I did one with Penguin Random House. I did one that was self-published. I've got 2 more coming out in December. You can do tours. I'm doing a 23-city tour, 90 days across America from January to April 2019. You can sell your own products and merch. Like, I'm not really the fashion guy, but I have my own hoodies and t-shirt line, and some people like mac that pretty hard. So there's lots, if you have attention, there's lots of ways to monetize it. It depends on what you're interested in. Like, do you want to have a mastermind? Do you want to be a consultant? Are you using it just to build your business, right? Like, if people learn about you and you're the expert and you have this real estate company or financial service business or whatever it is, then people want to say, oh, I want to work with that guy, right? Awesome. So there's lots of different ways, but the most important thing is you probably won't even know what the best monetization path is at the beginning. And that prevents people from starting, where you just need to start, right? And be the grinder, like apply what you did in baseball to everything. Like, if you're 16 episodes in, you're so much more polished and eloquent and thoughtful and charismatic than I was 300 episodes in. Like, it took me 350 videos before I wasn't completely embarrassed by my stuff. Like, I couldn't watch it back. It was so brutal. And so now it's like, how do I go from making 16 episodes to how do I make it a daily show? Right. Like, how do I grind it out so that this is a daily podcast now? And if you did that, you apply that hustle mentality, you'll be the next Larry King. Like, you'll be unstoppable. Yeah. If you're this good at 16, wait till you get to episode 516. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just for all transparency, I mean, I've been speaking in front of people for now over 20 years. I've actually done 2 weekly trainings for 22 years now. So I've been in front of, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people through the years. But you're right. I mean, I think what prevents, Evan, so many people from just getting started is all they think about is the money. If I'm not making money, I'm going to quit. If I'm not making $1 million, I'm going to quit. And they give up way too soon before they get good. When I first started, I mean, my first year in business, I worked my fingernails I worked to the bone, and I made $14,000 my first year, full time, really all in financial service. I mean, I was kind of part-time, but I was working every day. I mean, there was not a minute that I wasn't thinking about my business, and I made $14,000. Now, most people, they'd say, wait a minute, how did you keep going after that? And I said, because I know that right now I suck. Right now I'm no good. Well, next year I'm going to be a little bit better. And maybe I'll make 20,000. I think I made 25,000 the next year or something, or 50,000 or something. And then next year I made 100,000. And then the next year I made 170. And the next year I made 250. And the next year I made 350. Next year I made almost $500,000. So in a few short years, I was able to go from really crappy to being able to become completely financially independent. And that, Evan, is the challenge where I think, do you kind of agree with that? Do you get that? I mean, does that make any sense?
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important that you actually love the process of the work that you're doing. Right. Like for people who say, hey, podcasting is hot, I'm going to go start a podcast. Well, you better like being on air, and you better like doing interviews with people. Like, if you hate doing interviews, you're going to suck at building a podcast, even if it's the hottest marketing trend right now or the hottest business model opportunity. So you have to actually enjoy the work. And yes, the skills are transferable. Like, you've been speaking on stage for 20 years. Now you can launch a podcast and you're great, you know, and can you get better? Yes. But like, you're starting off with all that experience. And so a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to go on Instagram now because Instagram may not be around in 5 years. Doesn't matter. Like, the skills that you learn to be able to tell a story in 15 seconds or 1 minute and have it mean something to people is a skill that you take for life, because it's going to be something else. It's going to be the next Instagram, the next YouTube, the next podcast craze. And you've got the skills to win forever. But you have to love the process. And so if you're doing a job or you're getting into an industry because you think you're going to make a lot of money, but you hate the work that you're doing every day, you have lost. You will get crushed. You won't put in the work. So you've got to do something where you like the process of doing it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, and look, I mean, there's always, social media is not going away. I mean, I think we can all agree that this is probably going to be around for the next 100 years in some form, some fashion, just like TV was here for some form, some fashion for so many years. So I think people need to start getting comfortable with being in front of people if they want to be in the people business. If, like, for example, I'm just talking to most of my audience right now. Most of them are in businesses that have to do with communication or leadership and things like that. If you want to build a team, if you want to build an organization, you're going to have to, at one point in time, get yourself on camera and start to connect with an audience, because that's going to be your means to create a brand, which is ultimately going to get people to follow you. I mean, I recruit a lot of people in my business today from social media, and I don't even think we've figured it out yet. I mean, we're not even that great at it yet, and I haven't built a massive brand yet. But imagine, one day when I have 1 million subscribers or something like that. I mean, there's a good possibility that there's a good chunk of those people that might want to come to work with me, and it could explode my organization. So do you see that social media is going to be around for forever, or for a long time at least?
I think the ability to tell a story and communicate, especially authentically, I think is only going to be stronger. I think whether it's YouTube or Instagram, or whether Daniel's coming to you in holographic format in your face in your living room, or there's some VR or contact lens, or Daniel's on your desk, and he's yelling at you or whatever, like that's happening. That's going to come. Right. But it's still the ability, like, the little hologram Daniel is sitting there on your desk, spitting the message at you. He's got to be able to catch your attention in 30 seconds, or you're gonna smush it and go to something else, right? And so that skill you'd take forever. And I think technology is definitely exposing people. I think social media and the openness is exposing people. And I think, if you're a good person and you have good intentions, it's actually never been easier to win. And so being able to learn to communicate. And here's the thing, I'm an introvert. And people don't believe that, but I'm naturally introverted. And I think you can win as an introvert as well. It's not about you having to be the most charismatic person. It's you're doing something that you're passionate about. And what I want to feel is your passion. For people following Daniel, if you hear him passionately talking about his business, it's like, I'm so excited for the things we've got planned next year. I'm so excited. And you're sharing the details. Like, I want to be a part of something like that. Like, most people hate their job. They're not a part of something where they have any kind of passion. Their boss doesn't love their job either. It's like they want to go to something else. If you see this guy, Daniel, spitting fire, loving his life, living large, building a great organization with purpose and passion, like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? And so it doesn't mean that you have to be the most charismatic, over the top, character. You can still be passionate and be introverted. You can still be passionate and be shy. It's just a different way to win. And you can still authentically tell your story and get people excited about what you're doing.
It's awesome, man. Hey, Evan, just a couple last quick ones. I'm going to get you off in a couple of minutes. As far as like your business model, I mean, do you outsource your stuff? I mean, because your stuff is polished, man. I mean, how many employees do you have? I mean, how does the operation of what you do, how does that work?
So we've got 24 people on my team. It's a mix. I don't do a lot of outsourcing to like outside companies. Okay. I'll usually hire people. Either if I know exactly what I want, then I'll hire that person. But most of the stuff that comes to me that I create collaborations with, we try one little experiment and then we see. So like I've got a guy who does all my videography stuff. He came and we met on Instagram, and I said, okay, come for one day and follow me around and just see what happens. And then I hired him for a year, and then I just now hired him for a second year. And so I liked, and then a lot of those collabs go nowhere. It's like, hey, make this animation for my channel. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It wasn't that great. Okay. You know, we're not going to, it's great, good fun, one test. And so I like partnering up with people in my community. Most of the time it doesn't lead to anything, but very often I end up hiring that person and we build a long-term relationship.
It's awesome, man. That's really, really good. And as far as, I mean, is there certain traits or leadership attributes that you look for in certain people that you're hiring?
It has to lead. I lead with believe. Like you lead with your core value, lead with your one word. So if I'm attracting people from my audience, they're already in my audience. They already love what I'm doing. So there's already a kinship. If I'm doing a job posting, it'll ooze, like it'll just start talking about entrepreneurship and how great it is and how I believe in people. And if you love that message, you'll love to work with me, and you'll spend more time on your job application. And if you hate that message, you won't even bother applying. Like, this is the stupidest. I'm just a video editor. This is ridiculous what this guy's doing. Awesome. Like, don't apply. We're not going to work well together. And so always lead heavy with the mission. And then that allows people to self-select in or out.
So Nina, has she been, your wife, Nina, has she been a part of what you're doing all along? I mean, she helped you, or what role does she play in your business?
Nina has played a supportive role. She's been involved in my videos and stuff, but hasn't had a major role in any of the operations of my company until recently. So she just quit her job last week, and she's my tour manager. So we're hitting 23 cities, 90 days, from Toronto out to San Diego and all the way back, all the stops in between. And she's organizing all of that. So she quit her job to do that. But apart from that, it's been more just support, just somebody to cheerlead on, and an extra face for the channel. And people always, leave comments and ask Nina questions, but now she's actually taking a hands-on role in the business.
And being a dad, you love being a dad?
Yeah, it's awesome. Always having, getting married, having kids changes your priorities. You have to shift things around. And I think as long as you make sure that your actions map to your ambitions, in that you look at your calendar and say, hey, if I did this stuff every week, is that a happy life for me? And putting in father time, putting in husband time, putting in entrepreneur time, putting in leadership time. That's the constant game. Do my actions map to my ambitions in every aspect of my life? Love
that, man. Love that. And the last thing, man, is how do we connect with you, man? I mean, how does, tell us a little bit about, you got your book, your one-word book. I know you have another book, The Top Success, Secrets of Success, right? And
Top 10 Rules of Success, yeah.
Rules of Success. And so tell us about, how do we connect? How do we buy those? How do we get them? And by the way, I have a big audience in Southern California. So, tell us about the San Diego tour, and how do we connect to that? How do we be a part of that if we want to go?
Cool. So the books are on Amazon. The tour is, you just look at Evan Carmichael on Amazon, you'll find both of them. The tour, we're hitting, if you're California, we're hitting, I think, 4 or 5 different cities in California, depending on where people are. It's really about getting people from out of their head into action, turning thinkers into doers, turning people who have self-doubt into self-believers. And we're going to not just hear me speak, but we're going to be taking action at the event in each city. So I'm really pumped about that. The link to that is just on my website. I could share it with you if you want to put in the show notes after. And then connecting, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on pretty much the various social media platforms. You can find me there.
It's awesome, man. Hey, everybody, I just want you to know that, man, we had the incredible Evan Carmichael on today. The message, you got to have a message that means something to you. This guy in 4 years went from 7,000 subscribers on YouTube to 1.6 million. Why? Because he's authentic. I mean, he loves what he does. He believes in what he does, and it means something. He didn't think he was going to make money in the beginning. He just grinded it out, and he did everything that he felt like he had to do to get his business off the ground. And today he's got a lot of massive passive income and residual reoccurring income that flows in every single month. And that's what you should be thinking about. I mean, look, you're never going to totally get to where you want to get to and have the freedom and the choices that you want unless you build multiple streams of income. That is the key to financial success. And I'll tell you what, man, this guy's really doing it the right way. He's got a great family, and I want you guys to know that we are doing this podcast because we want to get you to that next level. So make sure you share it with people that you know, share it with people that you love. And of course, just as a reminder, we're signing people every day. We have the Wealth on the Beach Club. We have a private coaching where every single week we get together on a private Facebook Live, and we teach and we coach and we mentor 1/2 an hour of a lesson, 1/2 an hour of Q&A just with me. And so you got me for an hour a week. If you want me, go check on my, go click on the link in my bio on Instagram. And of course, alonzoacademy.com, my YouTube channel, go check it out. Dream bigger, but make sure that you do it now.
Nice.
God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Evan.
Cool, man. Listen, 16 has been fun. I want to come back for episode 100.
All right, man. We're going to have you
do
on,
it again.
Man.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot,
Daniel.
Evan. All the best.
Cheers,
we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Keep in touch.